Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's almost happy hour, so for those that you're still here, it has been an afternoon with great presentations. This one will be about WebRTC trends and use cases from our point of view. So for those I haven't met yet, my name is Alberto. I work as a developer at WebRTC Ventures, and we build real-time applications. So based on our experience, we will talk about this. So before I get started, who haven't heard about WebRTC in this room? Okay. So I won't go through any kind of introduction about the technology. I will jump directly to the analysis. This presentation is based on 4 main sources. We use a WebRTC survey that we send in a yearly basis. We also use our sales pipeline, the GitHub dataset with over 67 million repositories in there, and the WebRTC blog GigMe dataset as well. So what are the technology trends in WebRTC? Starting from a very broad perspective, on the CPaaS side, it's expected, or it's expected to grow from below 1 billion to 8 billion. On the WebRTC as a technology, also we see pretty positive numbers. Those were grabbed from Google, and they mentioned the usage of WebRTC in the browser increased from 2017 to 2018, 3 times. And there are a lot of acquisitions happening every day. Also, so it's a very active field. We recently knew about video, and also yesterday about House Party. So also, what we did here is we wanted to know where is WebRTC as a technology. And of course, that's not the whole picture, but what we did is gather do some queries to the GitHub dataset and kind of find like keywords like WebRTC RTC related. And most of them had a similar curve like this one, which seems to lead to believe that we are in the late majority adoption of WebRTC, which makes sense because we see companies in the field of security or telehealth that usually are reluctant to use this kind of new technologies, and today they are already using it. So we wanted also to know about the developers, how many WebRTC large-scale applications they build. So we did a survey and we asked them, and so far there has been a kind of linear growth in terms of large-scale applications, and also in when we asked them about the success of the application. And going a bit deeper into details, we wanted also to know, like, what do you prefer, to use open source or to use a third-party platform or CPaaS? Seems there's a division there of 45% preferring a platform and 55% to using open source for their WebRTC application. And of course, when building WebRTC applications, most of the people use media servers in between. Native, it seems that 29% still used for peer-to-peer only, but it has been decreasing a lot, and most of the people build WebRTC for large-scale scenarios, and for sure for doing that, you need media servers in between. And also we wanted to know about the big names, or what are the names that are more famous for WebRTC developers. And yes, so far on the open source side, we saw Janus, Currento, Jitsi being like the typical media servers, GSZip, the SDK for zip-related stuff, and also on the platform side, we see also big companies like Twilio, Agora, and Nextmo. And we wanted to know about the challenges that we experience when building WebRTC applications. And we saw that, well, quality of service, still a big challenge. It has been typically in most of our surveys a huge problem because, well, the network conditions change, so that's a complication there. And interoperability as well. Mobile device support is a big challenge, although it has improved if we compare with 2016, and obviously for obvious reasons before was almost impossible in iOS. And so those were so far the WebRTC technology trends. Let's talk now about some use cases. So first, we divided the WebRTC apps in 8 main verticals. And yeah, this year, similar to the previous year, we got some of these verticals are pretty common and usually used for WebRTC, like customer contact applications or video social chat applications. And so far, broadcasting is also becoming each year more popular. So it's as 21% of respondents said that they are using WebRTC for some kind of broadcasting app. Here, I point out some of the requirements that we are asked about for, like when some client come to us, what's the most common thing we built related with WebRTC. So yeah, so far, video call and multi-party rooms, specifically recording is a very frequent feature, data transfer, or integration with SIP legacy networks. So here, I'm going to go through some of the use cases we have built and some of the differences between them. In this case, those are integrations with CPaaS. So we use, in this case, for telehealth, we use WebRTC CPaaS. The difference with other kind of use cases is that this one needs to be more secure. You need to be HIPAA compliant, which is, well, a set of security standards for keeping health records. Another use case was train with, that was built on the Agora SDK, and in this case was for live training sessions where people can join and just follow the training class or watch it on demand. Another interesting use case, it was interactive broadcasting application. So it was a Trivial-like app that we built, and this was for sports events in this specific case. So people was not only able to respond answers from answer questions live, but also participate in the stream, and we feed it back the stream to so the participants were able to appear as hosts in the latest rounds of the game. It was an iOS application, and here I just describe a high-level overview of how this application looked like with some gaming functionalities from Amazon. On the other side, we also built open source implementations. Typically are in somehow integrations with the telephony network. And from our survey, we could see that 50% of responders said that they still have some applications that somehow integrate with the telephony. And one example of what we built, this was a few years ago. It was for click-to-call applications, SDKs, that integrate with SIP, and that was built we use GSIP and Janus. Another more recent application we work on it was for a large call center here in the US for people deaf of hearing. So in this case, we needed to integrate soft phones with web agents and being able to have multi-party calls with a SIP phone integrated in that. So we needed to add encoding, decoding there, recording. So finally we choose Curento and a modified version of GSIP in the backend. So those were some of the examples we have worked on. What are the new RTC use cases that we also see? And from the survey, we saw that 2/3 of respondents, they are already using some AI in their WebRTC application. Also, 1/3, they are building something that involves IoT or embedded devices. And another different question, more in the long term, it seems that AR is something else interesting for the developers, but seems more of a regularly thing in the future, not today, although there are some. So on the AI in and for RTC, there are, that could be discussed, but there are many subcategories probably, but I wrote down there the 4 or 5 main subcategories. Speech analytics probably being the one that we work on more frequently. So typically applications that need transcriptions, or after the transcriptions, doing some processing on the text for categorizing videos based on keywords, for example. That's the kind of typical use case. Others are are less frequent but interesting, like AI assistance, computer vision. In this case, I just show a demo I work on recently, doing background removal with TensorFlow. And another RTC optimization or forecasting of events that's not something we typically work on using WebRTC, but I've seen some of the speakers today, they were already using that for Agora, I think, for optimization, call stats for forecasting events. So, yeah. And in the new RTC use cases, we see also integrations with IoT. In this case, I'm showing 2 examples we work on. One is security cameras. You can use native WebRTC even for that. And remote control, that was for a large industrial device that we needed to remote control, and we needed to add the feedback there. That was a challenge to make sure that the commands were executed in order. And yeah, so that's pretty much all the use cases that we have seen, or the typical topics. And I just wanted to mention a high-level overview of some WebRTC market trends. There is 2/3 of developers or of respondents prefer to have in-house development. 1/3 prefer to have experts to come in. So that was interesting thing we could gather from our survey this year. And regarding the qualities that the team needs to have for building this kind of apps, we saw good communication and WebRTC knowledge are 2 very important qualities. And things like the location of the team or pricing aren't that important when looking for external team. And those are like the 3 main approaches when building a RTC app, or that's how we typically divide it based on the customer. So we work more on the 2 below, which are CPaaS, or so if you are a startup or a middle-sized enterprise looking for complex RTC apps, probably that's the best to go. And then there is the fully custom, where it's more for open source applications or very large companies that can handle the infrastructure. So that's pretty much it in some of the 4 big challenges for enterprises or concerns. Specifically, sometimes they are looking for SLAs that they can sign with the partner. If they are hosting themselves, they are looking for scalability. That's having auto-scale option for the media servers. That's something we see there. So that's it. Thank you. And if someone has any questions, feel free to ask. you.